Well, first of all, we heard about the Chancellor's announcement about the launch of a £2 billion Green Investment Bank. What's your reaction to that, first and foremost?
I'm delighted that the Chancellor has recognised the need to create such an institution. I think we've probably got to do some work on the name of it, but its purpose is to deploy capital at scale into the low carbon economy that we must create over the next few decades. And that means investing in infrastructure, as the Chancellor has acknowledged. It means focusing on things like energy efficiency in households and small businesses and in our buildings. But it also perhaps extends into providing the kind of capital that would invigorate the entrepreneurial response to climate change and energy security. So what goes in this institution is not yet clear. There are lots of possibilities. The $2 billion seems like an awful lot to start an enterprise and not very much to execute its purpose. So we've got to do some more thinking about how this institution is created and what it will do. But I'm pleased that the word is out and this will probably happen now.
But as you say, £2 billion seems like small beer.
$2 billion is nothing to the nature of the problem and the scale of the opportunity to invest. But my vision of the institution is not a very large bureaucracy and lots of bricks and mortar in a central place in London. I think we can do an awful lot with the networks that we have and the private sector's capacity to sensibly administer the money that could be deployed in the public interest. But you need an institution that's got a very clear long-term objective that outdoes the normal investment cycle as well as the normal political cycle. And if you're going to create an institution that's going to play a transformative role in the energy and power systems of this country, it will extend beyond that too, but those are the main areas for focus, then you have to have people who are dedicated to delivering the public interest over decades, not the next electoral cycle or the next financial cycle.
What kind of impact do you think today's announcement has on the issues around carbon markets and carbon pricing?
There wasn't a lot in the budget to satisfy a rather anxious and somewhat nervous investment community around carbon pricing. Not much that would make much of a difference to where an investor would behave tomorrow as opposed to today. But having said that, there are real opportunities to feed off the announcement on the investment bank, the section in the longer piece that the Treasury's provided on the low carbon economy. You can see a trend unfolding. You wouldn't want to depend upon any piece of it for a direct investment, and perhaps there are little bits. There might be something around the increased price for goods going to landfill, or there are one or two things that are a bit more precise that you can see a business organising around. Energy efficiency in the home, for example. We have investments here that might benefit from that. But you asked about the carbon market and carbon pricing, and you don't get anything from it today that is all that reassuring. There's a sense that if you had a domestic floor price, that might encourage greater certainty in investment if you're selling into the UK market. So I don't want to belittle it, but I also don't think it's sufficient to take away some of the anxieties that we have.
Part of that anxiety is around the urgency of the problem.
Yeah.
And obviously this doesn't go to it totally. What do you think the priorities are today as you see them from here?
There is urgency. And it's difficult because you have a long run problem that requires investment over decades. And the urgency, when understood in investment terms, is to start, not to finish. You know, and we've deployed some money so far, and thanks to some of the incentives that have been out there for a few years in the clean development mechanism of the Kyoto Protocol and the European emissions trading system and other support mechanisms for renewables, some money has deployed that's started to build a kind of industrial response to climate change that looks quite attractive. But it's still too little. And you want to see a commitment to deploy capital that is commensurate with the nature of the problem, and we haven't even got close to that. So, you know, what do you do with the current offering? You do the best you can, and you try and build a narrative around the investment response, so that there are good stories to tell about money deployed that produced a return that encourages others into the marketplace. We'll get those things. Whether we get enough soon enough, I'm not so sure, but I'm hopeful that perhaps over the next 5 years or so, there will be a series of attractive investment stories to offer the followers in the marketplace, so that the big money comes after the pioneers.